In the last video, we spent some time looking at how to create a little bit of character control using a little tank animation. We go up and down, left and right, and that represents a lot of kind of standard gameplay for 2D, but there's a lot of variations too. They're all minor variations on a theme though, so I wanted to show you four kind of alternate control schemes here using some of the same sprites that we've already set up. So just so you can see a little variation, and no two games are probably going to be exactly the same because you're going to want little minor variations, and that's just up to you to tune. So let's take a look here at a few other alternate variations to give you some ideas on how you could set up sprites in your own game. So first of all, I've got a little fly here. You remember the fly with the little two-frame animation. There he's flapping his wings. And I have him set up so that if I press W, he moves forward. There's no backwards. And the A and the D keys rotate him just around a fixed position. So if I move and rotate at the same time, now I get this kind of flying around motion. He's going slow, so I could show him off. You might want to make him whatever speed you want. He's kind of moving at slow bomber speed. You could make him zip around all fast if you'd like. So this would be another good one for the tank example we did in the last video, if you wanted to have more of an authentic kind of tank experience. But lots of different things could use this control scheme. So let me show you, first of all, just a simple little sprite. And we have on him a couple FSMs. So I'm just looking for the W key, and then I do translate at 0.25. He's moving pretty slow. So same way I've been moving him all along. Again, you could get slick with this if you wanted him to like let off the key and maybe he floats to a stop. Go nuts. Have all kinds of fun here. Do whatever you'd like. And then I have a rotate FSM that again just looks for the A and the D key. And then on fly left, we look for the keys so that we can either turn right immediately or get out of this and go back to idle. But otherwise, it's just a rotate, and I apply it every frame so that it continues to rotate. Again, go nuts, use whatever you like here, customize the feel of your character. But that's it, just a few simple little node changes here, and you've got completely different behavior for the same sprite. Let's look at the fly again. That's all right, I don't need to save those changes. So here's the same fly again. This time, I have him rigged up so that wherever I click with my mouse, like I'm going to click over here, then he'll zip over to wherever I just clicked. So he just really quickly zips around. And I have it so I can interrupt a motion and get him to kind of do all these really quick flit around things. So that's sort of a go where I click thing. You know, you might use this in a kind of an RPG style. You might use it for all kinds of various, you know, touching, tapping, activating objects, whatever you wanted to have happen. So let's take a look. Again, same fly, same little fly icon or sprite. And where we go? This time, so he's just flapping his wings. That's the same FSM as we've always used. This time I have kind of a manager object set up. Take a look there. I've got an idle state that waits for the left mouse button. So whenever I click a left mouse button, it fires off this on-click event. I come over and I use a mouse pick, which goes into the scene and gets me I just store the point. It's going off the screen there, but it's the click point as a global variable. So I just store the point where the mouse hits right there, and then I send an event to this other move FSM. And that is on the same object right here. And again, it just hangs out waiting for that move event to come. And when it does, I go in and I take that click point variable and I just zero out the Y. I just reset the Y to 0 because I don't want the fly to move up and down in the plane. So I just want him to stay fixed. And when you use a mouse pick, it actually calculates. So like here, the fly you can see is way above. The fly is way above the plane. And by the way, you do need a plane. You need something in the background that you can click on for this to work. So I dropped a plane down there. So I want my fly to stay up here at this level. But if I click down here on this plane, I'm going to get a Y coordinate that's much, much lower, a world Y. So that is why, whoops, repick that. So that is why over here I just, well, you saw it. I just zero that thing out. Right there. So I just zero that out so it stays on that plane. And then I pass it in to an iTween move, and I just tell it to go to the vector position of that click point. Gave it a little time. I gave it an ease in out quad, which gives it a little bit of that, or sorry, an ease out quad, Don't ease in because that makes him move really slow when I tell him to change directions. This way he just instantly changes, but kind of floats to a stop. And then I deactivate loop don't finish, and I make sure stop on exit is activated so that it doesn't try to complete this animation. Because when I click again, it basically calls all this again and fires it off, so it flushes out what was there before and tells the fly to go to a new location. So that's nice and easy that way. Now this is a minor variation on that, where I use the same movement, I just set up the fly to do it randomly. So I'm not clicking at all. So this is some really basic AI behavior you could set up. Here the fly is just kind of cruising around, and he's got a range of different values he can get using the same motion animation. I'll show you that really quickly. Again, same fly, same setup, same mover gizmo. And this time I do a random float of 0.5 second to 1.5 seconds, store it in a variable, and then immediately wait that amount of time. So that's why he moves kind of erratically rather than moving at a regular pace all the time. So it gives him a little variance. Then I have the wait call this, which then picks a random float between 1.1 and -1, which is the width of my screen in that example, and -0.8 and 0.8, which is the height of my screen. I then put those two results here into the x and y of a vector3 variable. This click point, which was the same one I was using in the last example, and then I send an event to the move, and we've seen the move before. It's exactly the same as the other one. So, except this time I don't have to zero out the y-axis because I did that just from the initial random stuff. There's no y to zero out. All right, and the last one I'll show you is this little frog. This is another one of the frog was part of the lily pad collection that we got from VickyWenderlich.com. You can go check out those free art pieces and try these things on your own if you'd like. Download those and set them up in your own Playmaker and Unity project. And the frog has, I wired it up to spacebar just to show it, has this one kind of jump animation going on. So it just sort of does that. And I hooked it up to kind of move like a chess piece or a checker or one of those kind of things. I have up, down, left, right. So the frog will move, it will snap to face the direction I want it to move, and then it will move a fixed amount, which in this case is 0.5 unit, and play its little jump animation. And so that's how you can get sort of a, you want to follow the path. And you can rig up these in-between spaces to be, jumpable or not jumpable, or whatever you need for your game logic, you can set up that way. But this would be simple fixed motion, and it always moves the same amount. It's not a random amount. And this is how you can lock, like a real basic way, you can lock a 2D character to a grid in some kind of way that you may need your player to stick to in order for your gameplay. And that is accomplished. Once again, it's just some lily pad objects that I set up in an early example. It's a simple frog object, still looking forward down the z-axis. And let's see, what's unique here on the frog. The frog has an idle where he waits for the up, down, left, and right, just like the tank does. When we move, just like jump left, right, up and down, just like we move with the tank. But in this case, I snap the rotation to be the right direction. So in the case of the left on the frog, it's a -90. So it's just like we snapped the tank around in order to rotate its spawn point for shooting a bullet. Same thing, but we're rotating the entire sprite this time, the whole object. And then I use an iTween move add, which moves it a certain amount of time over a certain amount of space. It moves it exactly, and it adds 0.5, like in this case, it adds -5 to its current position. So that allows it to move anywhere in the world, not just to a specific one. So iTween move add rather than just a move to. And that lets you move around any way you'd like. So there you go. Those are 4 alternate control schemes. And off of those, plus the original tank one, I think you can cook up an infinite array of really cool ways to move your 3D characters around, either automatically, AI controlled. You can have them go into triggers and receive events. You can have the player control them, and you can combine all of those things if you'd like. So all of these are very valid ways to move your characters around using Playmaker and Unity 3D.